Hello, I'm Jay, and I'm recording this to share these in my story and to share some voices of watermelon people as well. I remember reading in Me and White Supremacy by Layla Saad that introversion is not an excuse to not speak up. So, um, I'll be cross-stitching watermelons while I'm talking and reading, and I don't know what I'll do with the watermelons, but it does need to be said that the atrocities that have intensified since Saturday in Gaza by Izzy are disgusting. I have heard creators on here using hashtag All Eyes on Javalia and Save the North. If I say or pronounce something incorrectly, please let me know with a call in or out, and it can actually help me a lot if the call in or out is gentle and constructive. Um, starting with these in my story. Once upon a time, 15 years ago, this upcoming January, a couple got together in person in the wilds of the Ozarks after knowing each other only online for about 3 years. This couple is V and I, and we had fallen in love shortly after meeting online, but both of us were always attached to someone else at the time, and this was a time in which polyamory, ethical non monogamy, and relationship anarchy was barely being discussed. Definitely not in physical places where either of us were living when this was happening. V was in Auburn, Alabama, and I was in a place where the Flippin' Church of God actually exists, staying up in community that was made up of 5 barely habitable and some not habitable at all, and used to hoard things, mobile homes or trailers. Um, Halfway up on the side of the mountain that I still do not know the name of. So, it was accessed by winding, rocky, no-name roads. Um, V and I are both not only rainbow folk, but we are also GNC, gender non-conforming folks. They have been an activist since middle school, and I started trying to get away as far as I could from where I was born as possible at the age of 19, because I had no language at all for who I was, and I was attracting abusive people just like my male progenitor, who had many narcissistic traits, and my very neurodivergent mother, sometimes both of those things at once. And I was in a romantic relationship with one of the very worst humans I've ever met, who was definitely both narcissistic, had narcissistic traits, and was ND as well, neurodivergent. And this was at the time V came to meet me for the first time in person. I'm planning to tell the story in bits, but for instance, the person I was with was very vocal about being polyamorous, but in the way that they could be with whoever they wanted to date, but everybody that they were dating had to only be dating them. So, when I first arrived, their partner of a few years, we'll call him Dragonfly, said to the person that I had come to the Ozarks for, who had invited me there and told me that I was welcome, and would be taken care of as my real self, that they had deemed was a lesbian. This person, Dragonfly, turned to M and said, I feel so much better now that Jay is here, and now I won't worry about you quite so hard and as much while I'm at work. This was the equivalent of a slap in the face to M, who immediately interpreted that as I don't have to worry about you at all now, and who then proceeded to immediately punish me and Dragonfly with cold shoulders and outright insults whenever they felt like it. Another quick story, when I made a birthday card that I'd spent hours on in front of their mother and Dragonfly, M said to me, well, my present to you from the commissioned artist I got, that really wins over the card you made me, doesn't it? And a final one for now, when my mother actually died in the first 2 weeks I'd been staying there, and I had almost full force punched a tree, M said to me, that was all. Wow, they would have had to send me to the loony bin if it was my mom that died. Our cat, Bean, is contributing, so that's Bean. I stayed there for the next 7 months, and when I could not take any more of the abuse, M had started throwing things at me, and I felt like that could escalate. Just socks at first, but yeah. I told V that the person they'd met me as on a journaling site even, called Melodramatic, was only one part or head made of who I was, and that I was having trouble feeling a connection with anything and anyone, even those who had kept me company in my head for a long while by then. And V had left their own abusive partner, Ivan, who was V's partner at the time in Alabama. When they heard that, packed and jetted away as quickly as they could before Ivan had because Ivan had punched out to hit them, and they closed the door on his fist the night before. They were also sure that physical abuse was about to start. The emotional abuse was already rife. Ivan would threaten self-hurt and self-unalive as a regular bargaining chip whenever they would argue. V drove 17 hours straight with barely a bathroom break to meet me in a very small town in the Ozarks. They actually went to the Walmart at a slightly bigger nearby town to meet me, and I had to tell them, no, sorry, you're at the other Walmart. The one I'm at has literally nothing around at all but a gas station. So, there's an introduction to our story. There's a lot more, including fleeing the southeast to the U.S. before it unalived us both. I want to stop there for now with our story, though, and read out loud now, from a book called Light and Gaza. They Cannot Steal the Narrative, Love and Solidarity. And this is a book that the other title is Writings Born of Fire. It's edited by Jihad Abu Salim, Jennifer Bing, and Michael Merriman Lotz. And the foreword starts, if I can get to it here. Palestinians in Gaza are seldom given voice or asked to speak. Gaza is too often portrayed as a site of destruction or impoverishment. Yet it is so much more than that, as this collection of essays makes clear. In the pages that follow, Palestinians in Gaza powerfully narrate their reality so that people will understand their dreams, fears, and aspirations. Catching my breath, including what is needed to bring about change. The authors in this anthology offer their reflections through personal narratives, poetry, and analyses of economic and cultural issues. In so doing, they not only reveal a commitment to a future that will enable Palestinians to transcend the boundaries that limit them, but also speak about what is needed to realize that future. We hope this collection will open new understandings and create new discourse about Gaza and its people by introducing authentic analysis rooted in scholarly and personal understandings. The damaging divisions and movement restrictions imposed on Palestinians by ISI, particularly since the 1993 Oslo Accords, have fragmented the Palestinian community and isolated Gaza. The intensified military closure and blockade of Gaza has only deepened Gaza's misery. For change to occur, Gaza must be understood as an integral part of historic Palestine. There can be no meaningful or sustainable resolution in Palestine and ISI without Gaza. This book, in its own way, will explain why. The anthology is deeply personal for us. It is a work inspired by our love for our friends, family, colleagues, and partners in and from Gaza. The brutal realities of ISI's occupation and blockade have continued for too long and must end, and we hope that in some small way this work can contribute to that change. As editors, we have learned from this experience and from the authors, and we hope that you also will be impacted by their remarkable writing. We are indebted to our editorial committee members, Tariq Bakoni, Anne Lesh, Sarah Roy, and Steve Tamari, who worked with the authors on their chapters during a pandemic, and while Israeli aggression escalated in May 2021, their expertise and dedication to justice for Palestinians enriched this collection of writings. The first image is of Palestinian boys waving a Palestinian flag during a demonstration to mark the anniversary of the Nakba near the separation fence north of the Gaza Strip, May 6, 2011. The photo was taken by Sameh Rami. Introduction by Jihad Abu Salim. The Gaza Strip is a place we hear about often, and I have to stop there because it's almost 10 minutes.